behind. You're not heartless. You're just evolving. And your brand needs to catch up with your capacity, not your comfort zone. Because no matter how loyal your past clients were, if your message is still serving who you were, it cannot make room for who you are becoming. So, hi, I'm Rayland, going live again. Women based owners who are tired of being overlooked hire me as a brand extraordinary strategist. I've got the solution to turn authority into a booked brand that honestly, it books itself. So, this month I have challenged myself to go live 5 days a week, no matter how unhinged. You'll see different hair, you'll see sweatshirts, you'll see all of it, but no secrets, no overperforming this month. So, in this video, I am helping you navigate the emotional and strategic shift that it takes to up-level your audience without burning bridges or betraying your growth. So, most brilliant women that I work with, they don't pivot because they're bored. They pivot because they're ready. They're simply ready. They're ready for higher stakes, they're ready for bigger transformations, and they're ready for clients who are already bought in. And that's what it means to have champagne clientele. They're all three of those things. They have higher stakes, they're ready for transformation, and they're already bought in. But when it's time to evolve, the guilt starts to show up. And these thoughts start to sound like, well, they think I'm abandoning them. Can I still include them somehow? And here's the truth, you're not abandoning your past clients, you're building the boundaries that protect your brilliance. And I'll say that again for my folks in the back. You're building the boundaries that protect your brilliance. So, premium branding is not about pleasing everyone, it's about creating clear lanes of access. You can absolutely still serve your old audience, but not at the expense of your messaging, your energy, or your growth. The Brand Extraordinary method helps you design a brand that reflects your highest value while still honoring your roots. So let's break down the three Luxe boundaries that will help you evolve your audience without losing your integrity. So we're going to talk about how to clarify your primary client, not just the possible ones. We're going to talk about how to create a legacy layer for entry level clients. And we're going to let your brand reflect your capacity, not just your care. This is how you elevate with elegance and still sleep at night. So, let's talk about what it really means to serve from your highest value. Boundary number one, clarify your primary client, not just possible ones. So you're trying to make your messaging work for everyone who might need you. Okay. Might need you. And clarity comes from designing your brand for the client who's already ready and not the ones who still need convincing. So when we're writing our message, especially when I'm rewriting folks' websites, this is what I see all the time. They're like, I have all these options. And that's great. We kind of want to keep the options behind the gate because if we give people too many options, people start to get overwhelmed. We go into analysis paralysis and, we create confusion. And when we confuse, you lose. So, what I like to tell everybody is like, what is the goal? What is the first step that we need to take in order to be the most effective? And when we look at what it takes to be the most effective, that is where we need to lead people. So, if your first step is that you hop on a discovery call with folks. That is the goal of your website is to get people on a discovery call. We can let them know what will happen after that, but if we share the process and how we hold their hands and walk them through the journey, you're going to establish trust a lot sooner than if you give them all these options to click on that honestly they cannot diagnose themselves because they don't know the problem. All right. So rewrite your homepage, your offer, or elevator pitch with just one person in mind. And that one person is your dream client ready to buy. And what is the very, very first step that they need to take? Not step 15, not step 8, not step 523. Step 1. That is what we're going to lead them towards. That is where we need them to go. So the next thing is that we want to create a legacy layer for entry level clients. If you're just now joining us on this live, all the recordings are on YouTube. So if you're on TikTok or YouTube right now, just know that we pop all of these from earlier this week to how we finish out the end of this week. But that is where you can catch it. And right now, we are talking about how to still serve your audience after you pivot. So, boundary number two in that space is to create a legacy layer for entry level clients. The problem here is you don't want to let go of the people you've helped grow. Like, this is just simply it. We don't want to let go. It was a safety net. We appreciate them for getting us to where we are today. But you don't need to serve everyone at the same level of depth. So when I built the Brand Extraordinary method, I did it because I was getting very exhausted as a mom, having to hop on all these discovery calls and doing all this free work. I just thought it was ridiculous and I didn't want to do it. And there had to be a better way. So I stopped. And I switched it up by creating layers of trust to help people where they're at, but also to create high ticket clients and really generate that without giving away my soul in the process. And I did that by starting with what I refer to as the Bermuda Brand Breakthrough. It is a video audit in which people um, submit a form. They pay $150, and I go through and I audit their entire website, top to bottom. And I'm giving real tangible advice as we go through based on how I see it and how others are seeing it for the very first time. Then, at the end of that, if I feel that I can truly help the issues that I see present, I will invite them to take the next step. And that next step is I do a strategy session. So it's also paid. We spend some time interviewing the client and really get to the root of what their issue is that they are experiencing. It's one thing to see it on a website, it's a whole nother thing to hear it when somebody is telling you the situation. And we marry those two things together. And we, instead of just giving them a proposal about all the things that we're capable of and how great we are, we actually take that and we give them a strategy that they can implement if they so choose to, or we can do it for them. And then, that is where our high ticket clients come from. We invite them to let us implement the plan if they choose to make that the decision they want to go. So, in that space, every step is paid, trust is being built, and it's layered on. And we do have a ton of incredible lead magnets, those freebies that you can download and get into your inbox here that lead people to that process. But we primarily focused on um, laddered up paid elements that establish trust and are always giving value. I don't believe in the old fashioned proposal process. I don't find it to be very valuable for anybody unless you're there to toot your own horn. But there is something to be said of trust being built from both sides when you layer that in, and it allows you to have your past clients still experience and get those touch points should they need it. Then, lastly, my last tip for today is let your brand reflect your capacity, not just your care. So, as women, we have a tendency to fall into this trap of guilt. We make decisions based on guilt, not growth. And we want to help everybody. And that's amazing. I love helping everybody. But your care doesn't have to become your calendar. All the time, someone's like, "Can I pick your brain? Do you think you can help me with this? Um, just curious to get your thoughts." A lot of those things are traps to your calendar that take you away from doing the things that move the needle. So, some things that move the needle, and I've created non negotiables, which was totally not on today's plan, but I do this thing called my power hour sheets. It's real. My ADHD does not allow me to use technology very well because I have 1,000 tabs open. But on the sheet, what I do is I take out the time, and I only have time to let people pick my brain, which sounds so icky. I definitely think of zombies when somebody says pick my brain, like you're just gonna take my head off, but here nor there. It's clearly Halloween around this house. But what I do is I super focus on ensuring that all of my business development stuff gets done in that hour, and that way I have extra time, whether that time is to allow somebody to pick my brain or to go be a mom and be at football and what have you. All those things take place because we really map out what is happening within my day. And that way your care for others just it doesn't have to become your calendar anymore. So you're the founder of a movement, not the manager of everyone else's expectations. And quite frankly, you got to knock that part off. Because if you can't make time for you, then you're not going to be able to make time for others. And that is where we have to be really mindful. So, oh, hey, Loris. So, the action tip that I want you to really put into effect here is review your current offers and your boundaries and ask yourself, does this reflect where I am going or who am I afraid of disappointing? And if you're afraid of disappointing someone, then you have got to do some deeper journaling on why. Why are you afraid of disappointing them? And by disappointing them or by meeting them at where they're at, are you disappointing yourself? Because sometimes we have to choose us. And that's just a simple fact. So, if this helped you breathe a little easier, gave you permission to just go and make it happen about evolving your audience, you're not alone. Letting go of who you used to serve, make space for who you're really here to lead. So, book your brand meetup brand breakthrough. Let's map out what needs to shift in your messaging to attract premium clients without feeling like you're abandoning your roots. And know that you can be loyal to your evolution. And if this struck a chord with you, if this resonated, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit follow. We are, like I said, we're going live all of October. It's going to be a party. And I can't wait until next time. I'll talk to you guys soon.